Go ahead.
And it says, of Moab and the Hagarenes.
The Chinese and the Africans down with them. Remember, Chinese had boats too. Chinese has boats too. Chinese was here in the United States before the so-called white man was here. Chinese was here. They used to trade with Gad and the northern tribe. You see? So they was here. They had boats. They knew travel. Go ahead.
Yep. Verse 7. Jabal and Ammon and Amalek.
Dirty Africans, right? Who held us too. They held us fast. Wherever we went, East Coast or West Coast of Africa.
Yeah, when you look up the details of the trans-Saharan slave trade with Ishmael and the natural-born Africans, they knew how to train hornets to chase after us, man.
It's ridiculous.
And to attack us.
It's crazy. They train a dang on.
Bro, the Lord had to be the same, you know.
Against us.
Yeah, man, the same way that Noah had power over animals and Adam had power over animals, the Lord put the spirit on them Cushites and them heathens, man, to get in tune with them so they could jack us up. But even still, the Lord had our people still be wicked, you know. And still, you know, some of our people are confederate with the heathens against us in some belief.
Right.
You know, it's that bad.
Right. Go ahead.
It says, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur is also joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot.
Right. When you look at the Tyre and Zidon, you talk about the the West Coast over the Mediterranean of those Africans, man, the Philistines, man. They was always against us. We always was in battle against us. These nations is a thorn in our sides, but you want to side with them, make contracts with them, ask them for help. These people are against us from jump. This is the way the Lord had made it.
Yeah, these heathens outside of Esau, the way with what they think in their mind when they see our so-called Negro Latino wilding out doing some crazy shit, they think to themselves, this so-called white man slavery got out of control. He needs to figure out how to control what the fuck he did. You know? They're like, I wish this devil would come do something. That's why they're so quick to call the police or run to Esau, man, for help. And Esau is so quick to help you.
Well, that's a trap. That's a trap. That's a pit. That's a system that you're getting yourself into when you're dealing with them. When you're dealing with their contracts and their system and they contract. Look, Ice Cube said last night, he said, I don't care, I just want to talk to someone who's ever in charge. Well, Pharaoh was in charge, right? What did Moses say? Just let my people go. You'll be saved, just let my people go. But Pharaoh prolonged it, didn't listen. This is what the so-called white men and the other nations are doing. They're not listening to the men of the Lord. Say, just let us go. Just let us go. But you won't do that. So therefore you have to take the brunt of the punishment for holding someone captive. When you hold someone captive without cause, there's a penalty for you. What is it called? Unlawful imprisonment.
That's right.
Unlawful imprisonment is a felony, man. Hostage taking. That's what's that in Exodus?
Exodus 21:16.
Exodus 21:16. You hold them fast.
Zechariah 5:1 as well.
And if I say this, because you said Ice Cube said he wanted to talk to whoever's in charge. Well, first and foremost, you know, we know, but the nation of Israel needs to understand, and I've made a video about that Ice Cube, you're not our leader.
That's right.
I mean, I know because this society, and not only Ice Cube, all of these individuals, you know, you've been financially successful, right? And you have a high status in this society, but you're not our leader. You know what I'm saying? You're really not. As a matter of fact, everything is upside down. The majority of the individuals in Israel with a high status in this world are actually some of the lowest souls in Israel. You know what I'm saying? But that's how the Most High wanted it to be. He flipped it upside down. So Ice Cube has no business being a representative of the nation of Israel.
Yeah, in ancient times, during the time of Yahweh, you just be known as an entertainer. But the prophets, the priests, those are the people that were afraid of and they looked to and they reverenced.
right.
The spiritual aspect of it.
Yeah, if you still listen to Ice Cube because he's Ice Cube, then you in trouble. Because chances are Ice Cube is, listen, chances are very high. The Most High is the Most High. You have mercy on whom you have mercy. But I'll be surprised if Lord willing will party elect and Ice Cube's in the chariots. Now, not to say that's impossible, but I'll be surprised. Why? Because remember, these individuals have played major roles. You're looking at Ice Cube now. Don't forget about NWA Ice Cube that was talking about that wild shit that brought about, you know, a heavy spirit and gangbanging in Los Angeles, which took a lot of souls. A lot of Israelite souls got into this gang life, got into this life of self-destruction because of individuals like Ice Cube. So he's got blood in his hand. The Most High's not slack, man. The Most High knows what's going on. All right, you got
This is Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 16. It says, for the leaders of this people calls them to err.
Right.
It says, and they that are led of them are destroyed.
But as a matter of fact, start 13.
That's right in line with the Zealots, because Ice Cube is considered a fucking Zealot.
Yeah.
He's just going about it a different way.
Yeah.
But people like Sakara Praise themselves to be calling Zealots because they were the last ones out.
Well,
in 70
Sakara
AD.
said he could relate to them because he's grimy, just like them grimy niggas.
Yeah, which is great. But then again, it was like, well, what took you so long? You know what I'm saying? Because my thing is, when he first called himself Sakara, remember, it was like, hold up, that sounds familiar. And we did our research, and we figured, hold up, Sakari's those are the Zealots, you know? That, and then he was like, well, y'all need to go and do your research. I'm like, what do you mean? It's plain and simple who the Sakaris were, which it was just one of many Zealot groups back then. And they now, like the brother said, now the Zealots, because everything is more spiritual, the Zealots are more sophisticated. Because now the Zealots are preaching the word in the streets. But ultimately their true nature is what? It's to pick up arms. To pick up arms and go into a carnal war against what? Against our opposition, which is Edom, Esau. That's their nature. And they're going to turn back to that in these upcoming weeks and months.
Yeah, please, just keep your word, man. These niggas with all these guns and shit.
Well, no, they're going to do it. They're going to do
We
it.
need them to, bro.
No, they are going to do it. Sakari's in them, they're all going to do it, you know, because they do. That's why they take pictures and stuff with guns and ammos. And again, not to say that a brother shouldn't have a gun, but if you're getting a gun for protection, if a brother tells me, yo, I got this gun, man, it just looks good, I just like the way it looks, cool, whatever. But if you're picking this gun because you feel like, well, this is going to protect you in the days ahead, you're in a different spirit.
Yeah, if you didn't have one before you came into the truth, my suggestion is don't think about getting one. If you weren't like that back when you were in the, you know what I'm saying?
I agree, because why
makes
you
no sense.
getting
Why
in there? Unless somebody gave it again, if somebody just gave it to you, you know, that's what it is. But it's all about the mindset and the consciousness. I know you want to say something.
Yeah, real quick, the Zealots, they had a following. They had a big following. So in order to have a following, you got to have some type of doctrine, some type of thing that attracts people.
The laws.
You see? So it was a thing even back then, just like it is now. And they pride themselves of being called Zealots because they was the last ones to defend the Masada.
Right.
Back in 70 AD. So they pride themselves in that.
But they didn't defend Yahushua.
Right.
That's the point. The defense is in the doctrine.
See what I'm saying?
Right.
It's in the words.
Not a hill.
Not your physical body.
Not a hill, not a plateau, or a city on a hill, man.
Yeah, because all that defense and stuff, all it does is temporarily postpone a future judgment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's all it
And when
was.
you rely on that stuff, you're not giving time for the Lord to do anything for you. It's like, you know what? The Lord's taking a little while. I'm going to see what I
But
can
the Lord
do.
said when the armies are camped about you, which they did, Masada was camped about.
Literally,
Yeah,
yeah.
you said flee
Flee.
in the mountains. Yeah,
But not
they,
Masada.
yeah, but they didn't do that.
That
because-
wasn't a stronghold.
You see, they weren't spiritual. They didn't listen to the Lord, and they really what they were doing. They were kicking against the pricks because the downfall of Masada, the Lord said this thing is going to be taken down. So the Lord destroyed Masada. The Lord took down Israel. So the fact that you fought to protect something that the Lord wanted to take down, you was fighting against the pricks. You had no chance of winning that battle. That's why Paul said, fight a good fight of faith. It's not about just fighting. You need to know what you're fighting and which battle, okay?
Micah chapter 6 verse 2.
Right.
Hear ye, O mountains, the Lord Yahweh's controversy, and ye strong foundations of the earth.
As a matter of fact, start on 1.
Yeah. Micah 6:1. Hear ye now what the Lord Yahweh Shai saith. Arise, contend thou before the mountains, and let the hills hear thy voice.
There you go. So that's what it is. So you arise and you contend against the mountains. And it says what? Let the hills hear thy voice. Not let the hills hear what? The sound of your guns, man. That's not what it's talking about. So it's all, but see, it goes back to something, and I even mentioned that in a video recently, that it all goes back to this mentality that Israel has always had of praising the carnal over the spiritual, right? When you go into the hood, who's the guy that everybody's afraid of? Is it the Jake with the Bible, or is it the Jake that's known for having bodies? The crimey nigga in the hood, right, with the teardrop. Who is the king of the hood? It's that dude. Why? Because he has a temporary power to take a life, right? So our people have always been mesmerizing with the carnal. So when they see a man who says he's spiritual, but still says he's going to use carnal means to help deliver the nation of Israel, the 2/3, the majority of Israel, as always, they're going to gravitate towards individuals like that. So us on the spiritual side, we shouldn't feel no type of way. You know, if we get 2 spiritual souls and they get 200 carnal souls, that's okay. Okay, that's okay, because the end of the Zealots and anybody that got involved into insurrections was death. The majority of those jakes died. And I even mentioned Barabbas. When you go into the history, Barabbas was a Zealot. You know, because you know in church they say, well, oh, they traded in the Lord for a thief, for a common thief. No, he wasn't no common thief. Barabbas wasn't out there being a thief. It tells you that what? He was bound amongst other men that committed what? Insurrection. Meaning what? He rose up against the government in a carnal matter and murdered people, murdered Roman soldiers. And what is it the history tells you? The Zealots would kill Edomites, and they would kill Israelites that they thought worked with Edomites. Where is that? How is that spiritual? Because if that was the case, if Matthew had been in the wrong place, wrong time, guess what would have happened to him? You see that?
Government official.
This is the book of Romans chapter 8 and verse 6. It says, for to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace.
Verse 5.
This is Romans 8 and 5. It says, for they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh.
Right, that's why pan the camera. Pan the camera. That's a great example of what we just read. They that are of the flesh do mind the things of the flesh. Right? That's why you see how people dress the way they do, they talk the way they do. Whether they know about Israel, whether they don't know about Israel. You got a lot of Israelites who know they're Israel and they do mind the things of the flesh. You're an Israelite and you're calling on Christ as your king. That's minding the things of the flesh. Go ahead.
It says, for they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the spirit, the things of the spirit.
Right, that's why we invest our time and our energy, which our energy is literally our spirit, into this. We pour it out, we pour it all out here, and when we do our videos, and when we edify at our leisure, you know?
That's right.
We pour it out to each other. We do mind the things of the spirit. That's why we always wondering how Akim are doing. We try to make sure things are in order, because that's spiritual, you know, in the spiritual realm.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Verse 6, for to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace.
Right, that's where we don't get shaken up. You got Israelites that see the words, and hear the words these zealots are talking, they get scared because they're not grounded. They still have carnality all in their minds.
That's right.
You know, but us, it's life and peace. Only thing we think of, you might get a little vexed, you might laugh, and then you edify and move on, because you understand everybody has to fall into their lot, man.
That's right.
When you understand that we all have our own positions in this truth, it makes it that much easier too. We have that peace of mind, you know.
Now, the statement you made out was great, because, like you said, you have Israelites that look at these certain souls in Israel that have this zealot, you know, mentality, which that's who they are, and they're like, oh man, y'all y'all brothers, man, y'all brothers saying all this stuff, y'all brothers gonna put us in trouble, you know what I'm saying? Now I'm like, well, they are gonna put us in trouble. What are you talking about? Did you read Matthew's the 10th chapter? Can we get that? And they start sending you into synagogues. I mean, what are you talking about? Hey, y'all brothers out there, you know, I'm not gonna tell Sakari to stop preaching the word with guns in their waist, because they're not gonna listen to me. Like the Zakar say, everybody got their locks. They did some real, like I said, when the Sakaris, like, they are gonna do some shit out here. I said, you know, them and other Israelites such as them, when all hell starts breaking loose, and I even spoke about Esau got a law called the Insurrection Act of 1807, which the Insurrection Act of 1807 is the act that actually nullifies posse comitatus of 1879. So that law right there gives the executive branch, Donald Trump, right, the president at the time, whoever it's going to be, to send military and to shut down the cities.
Man, there's so many stuff like that act on the books that presidents have the power, the stuff to do. That shit goes back. There's probably stuff in the 1700s that we don't even know about. That was still in full effect, you know, for us.
But the newest executive orders give power to the old.
That's right.
Laws.
The water,
Right.
the water,
You know what I'm saying? Because if Clinton made something back in the 90s, Obama did something to strengthen what Clinton strengthen what he had did and what he had said, or the act that was talked about at that time.
That's right.
You know, NDAA gave strength to possessing everything that you had.
Yeah, because
NDRP.
Right.
You know, your cars and your homes. Look, they did this back in the Civil War. They made headquarters from people's homes, man.
Right.
You know, you have to understand that. Out where I live, they made this fort, a Union fort, came down here and took over people's homes, man, and made it their headquarters. Why? Because they can. Federal government has the power to what's the word? Eminent domain, man. It's a form of eminent domain on your own residence, man.
Yeah, it's about owning, like the brother said first. Because, you gotta understand something about Esau, man. Esau is the devil, and he believes in chaos. But there's a reason why he believes in order out of chaos. You know, order out of chaos. So Esau believes in an orderly, chaotic society, just like America. America's not just totally chaotic. You got what's called a constitution, right? You have certain laws. If you break, there's a penalty. So it's orderly chaos, which is the highest level of madness. Because if a person is just chaotic, you be like, you know what, he knows no better. But when a person is making the chaos orderly, that means he knows that what he's doing, he's not supposed to be doing. But to make it so that it'll continue to last, he will bring order to that chaos. So that's why he has certain laws that he knows that, listen, this law, if I break this law in the eyes of the people, all the nations going to look at me as the devil that I am. So let me set up another law that will nullify that law. So when I do move on these people,
Make it seem right.
you can't take them to court. That's what people don't understand. The nations are not, you're not going to be able to take Esau to international court. Because what you're going to realize is that he had already set up all these laws allowing him to come into your house and grab your ass and put you in a damn concentration camp.
This is Daniel 8:25.
Right.
It says, and through his policy, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand.
Right.
And God, this is Daniel 8:25.
Right.
And through his policy.
And through his policies, for an individual, like I always say, well, man, we because you got cats that's like, man, we not supposed to, politics is not a part of it. You out of your mind. The book of Revelation speaks about the two horns. It's talking about two political groups, the two most powerful political groups in the world, man. It's who? The Democrats and the Republicans. Now, the word policy, that's where you get the word what? The word what? Politicians of politics, meaning what? Laws. So it's very important that you know exactly what's going on in the so-called politics of the land in which you live in, especially when it's the politics of the laws of what? Of your enemy. Example, Yahushua. Didn't Yahushua know the law? That was in the law of the land. And what did he tell them? Give to Caesar what's to Caesar. Because clearly Yahushua knew the law that Esau established. If he had just went out there and said, nah, fuck all that, they would have been like, look at this guy. Because if he had said that, if Yahushua had said that, you know what would have happened? They would have slammed the label of he's part of the Zealots. He's part of the ones that, you know, that's part of that movement of insurrection, carnal resistance.
That's what Judas was for.
That's right.
Judas was trying to push Yahushua the Lord into
carnal resistance.
For carnal, you know, going up against the Romans.
That's right.
You know, he was a zealot. You know, and it was zealots in the camp.
Yeah,
there was people that took sides against the oppressor. There's nothing wrong with that. Right. But there's a time and a place and a season for everything.
And there's a way to go about it. And that's why Yahushua showed us the only way to go about resisting the adversary.
It says, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand.
Like craft. The word craft goes back to what? The word craft goes back to tech or technology. You look up the word tech, it means craft. So again, for individuals that say, well, technology has nothing to do with the scriptures. Look up the word craft. It goes back to the word tech. That's why we're dealing with what? Technology. Okay? So it says what? He caused his technology to prosper. So he's setting up all of these laws to set up his ultimate technology, which is what? The RFID microchip, which is the mark of the beast, to prosper. He's not just going to pass this thing. But how you think Esau is going to push you think Esau is going to push a microchip without a law? That's what I mean. Esau is not an idiot, man. He knows that even for him to be a devil to the highest level and not be brought to courts, he has to show people that he's doing things according to the laws that he set up.
We wanted it.
Craft in the Hebrew, maramah.
Right.
In Strong's definition, it says, in the sense of deceiving, fraud, craft, deceit,
right.
False, feign, guile, subtlety, and treachery.
That's right, subtlety and treachery. So that's what Esau does. He moves in subtlety and treachery. But he also knows that he has to have certain laws to back his devilish ways, right? Now, we're not saying his laws, of course, his laws are wicked. But remember who he is in this world. Who is he? He's Lucifer. He's the light bearer. So all the nations have looked at Esau as what? Your laws are righteous. So if you write down a law that allows you to commit genocide against these Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, that's a righteous law because you are the light bearer. As long as you do it according to your laws, the nations say, okay, cool. That's why our people will have the scriptures say what? Nobody is going to buy us back. None of the nations going to step up to deliver Israel. Nobody's going to. Why? Because Esau is going to do everything according to the policies, the wicked policies that he set up. So the only man that can save us is who? It's a man that's not under the same policies. It's a man that's outside of this will, which is Yahushua. Okay?
It says from the top again, Daniel 8:25.
Right.
It says, and through his policy also, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand,
right.
And he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall he destroy many.
That's right.
He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand.
There you go. So by peace, meaning what? It's when it says peace, it's not the scripture. You got to read the scripture. You got to read between the lines because it's not talking about actual peace. It's talking about the image of peace. Meaning, example, every time you see a politician, like Donald Trump and them, what they always say, I'm gonna bring back the troops and you know, there's going to be peace in my administration. But in the same time as he's saying that he's going to bring all the troops, he tells you how we're going to have the greatest military that's ever been. We're going to invest such and such and such into the greatest technology, military technology. Hold up. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it's the illusion of peace. It's by pushing the illusion of peace that he's actually going to bring about war. Right up? That's on that?
Yeah, that was it.
Get Matthew 26 and 50 real quick. Matthew 26 and 50. Because Yahushua gives us the answer. I just did a video on it. Yahushua gives us the answer what to do when all hell breaks loose. You know, basically when the persecution comes, you're going to find out what you need to do in that time.
That's right.
And the reason why is because we already have all these examples for us to what we need to do. If you can read that.
It's the book of St. Matthew, chapter 26 and verse 50. And Yahushua said unto him, Friend, wherefore art thou come?
Oh, you can read. Start where the paragraph. Start at 47.
So, St. Matthew's 26 and 47. It says, and while he yet spake, lo, Judas, one of the 12, came, and with him a great multitude with the swords and staves from the chief priests and elders of the people. Now he that betrayed him gave them a sign, saying, whomsoever I shall kiss, that same is he. Hold him fast. And forthwith he came to Yahushua and said, Hail, Master, and kissed him.
Right, the kiss of death. That's where you get the whole term, the kiss of death, right?
Italian. It says, and Yahushua said unto him, Friend, wherefore art thou come?
You know what this shows you? It shows you that it's going to be somebody that you probably know really well, you know? Or basically somebody that's going to surprise you, you know? He said who he kisses, so you got to be real close to somebody, you know, in order to use that as your form or to show your sign of when the go time is, so to say, you know?
I mean, and mostly, you know, just to add on, mostly Israelites that, other Israelites, that, because we have different camps, but we know about each other, you know what I'm saying? And we've seen each other's videos, might have ran into each other, that kind of stuff. The reason why I put that out there is so that brothers won't look around and be like, oh, I can't trust this guy. There's a balance to that. When you've been to war, you've been to war with certain men, there's a certain trust that happens. And without a doubt, that man, if his head is put against the guillotine, he ain't gonna fold, you know what I'm saying? But then you have individuals from the outside, other camps or whatnot, they also Israelites, right? But a lot of them have worked with the government under 501c3 and so on and so forth. They haven't seen a problem with doing that. So what you think when pressure comes down from the government to actually rat other Israelites out, what you think they're gonna do? Right, oh, Peter. Who was ratting out Peter? Individuals that had seen Peter with Yahushua, other Israelites. It wasn't one of the 12 that was ratting out Peter. It wasn't one of the people that was listening, following the disciples in Yahushua. It was just like the example, you had that woman. She said, hey man, you used to work with Yahushua. And then Peter said, oh shit, nah, I did. He did not. So people know us. The reason why I won't put that out there just to bring the balance, so you don't look over your shoulder and look at your brother next to you like you're a potential traitor. Not to say it won't happen, but it's just for the psyche.
It's Matthew 10 and 34. Matthew 10 and 35. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's foes shall be they of his own household.
Right. That's the spirit of Yahushua. The spirit of Yahushua is bringing about division. Right? He's separating. Now you'd be like, damn, why is he separating families, man? You're supposed to bring everybody together. But see, that's because you lack understanding. Because if you had understanding, you understand the biggest separator ever is what? It's truth. Truth, that's the thing. People think truth brings everybody together. No. That's not the purpose of truth. Lies brings everybody together. Truth separates people. That's another misconception that you need to understand.
This is back in St. Matthew 26 and verse 50. It says, and Yahushua said unto him, Friend, wherefore art thou come? Then came they and laid hands on Yahushua and took him.
Even the Lord called him his friend.
That's right.
Right? He was with him for 3 years, hanging out, getting the doctrine, getting the truth. And what did he do? Friend. He's going to continue on and say what?
I think it says that in prophecy, if I'm not mistaken. My own familiar friend.
Yeah.
No, when you read Psalms 109. Yeah. You keep reading that. Yeah. It said, let another man take his place. You read up above that. I think it might refer to him as a friend. It might be there, or it might be thinking about a different chapter in David.
Back in 51, verse 51, it says, and behold, one of them which were with Yahushua stretched out his hand and drew his sword and struck a servant of the high priest and smote off his ear.
Yeah, that's what you call today letting off a shot.
Yeah.
Jake let off a shot, a warning shot.
Yeah.
Shoot a shot, shot him right in the ear.
That's exactly what a lot of these Israelites out here, when this thing really breaks through and there's fires in different cities and they start you know, coming for us and making moves, you listen, you're gonna have Israelites who's gonna open up because they got the guns, they got the mentality. They're gonna go back to their, you know, to their lot. And then when what you think is gonna happen when the news get broadcasted that police officers in riot gears, right, or whatever, or detectives, or whatever, FBI agents, SWAT teams,